Hey, let's talk about staying on track with big goals. This is important because the day to day is where we make decisions that can lead us down a course that we only notice is not the one we want sometimes years later. Right? So, doing what I'm about to share can save you years of going down the wrong track. And the wrong track means losing money in your business, having people quit and leave you and not know why, right? These are heavy duty things that you want to avoid having to deal with. And the way you do that is by taking a moment now, putting it on your calendar so that you have time to step back and assess the bigger picture. Right? You might think you know exactly where you're going, but unless you're taking time to actually say, how do I know? How do I know that I'm on track? And why is it important that I'm going to that destination? You're going to wind up off course. It just is going to happen, right? The day-to-day is so powerful of an influencer. Other people's thoughts and directions and just, being buffeted by daily life is such a force for most people, most regular human beings, that unless you take time out of your day to assess how is it going, right? Time out of your quarterly schedule, right? A couple of days, you'll end up, up the creek without a paddle. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. Now, this has happened to me a couple of times in my life where I find myself, succeeding at the path that I've laid out, only to realize that the path I've laid out is not one that I want to actually be on. Right? And so it takes kind of a traumatic intervention of reality for me to realize I actually want to be on a different path. And so the way to solve that is to take some time, take a retreat, right? It's called a retreat for a reason. You step away from your daily obligations. You step away from the stuff that the world expects you to make good on to say, what do I want to be making good on? And you can do it by yourself, but I recommend having an experienced thinking partner, having a coach, having a guide, someone that can be your partner in wanting what's best for you, wanting the impact that you want, wanting the kind of life that you want, right? Someone who is just there for you. And in that time, you can actually start to question all the things that you're currently saying yes to, so that you can decide, what do you want to leave behind? The people who make little to no progress towards their big goals are the people that are saying yes to everything, that are not leaving behind the important things. They're just trying to do it all and then wondering why they're getting burned out, wondering why their people don't stay, wondering how come it's not working out. Because they're saying yes to everything and not saying no to the things that will allow them to focus their path towards that end goal. So I had this happen to me just on a mini, on a small scale just yesterday. I took a 2-hour retreat. It's not really a retreat if it's 2 hours, but like 2 hours of focus time to work with my favorite coach, who's also my wife, Erin, and we spent time kind of visioning what I wanted to create next in terms of content, in terms of my business, and it's going to be a book on leadership. And so we spent that time with her as my thinking partner, her as my guide, to really put in place, what's possible here? What do we want this to look like? How are we going to have the biggest possible impact with this next thing? And that would not have happened if it were just me sitting on my own, like, okay, time to think. Let's get a whiteboard out. I do all kinds of fun things with a whiteboard, but having another person there and a specific intention for that time sets you up in a way that nothing else can. So if you want to give yourself every advantage at having exactly the kind of life that you want, not just the one that seems most probable or the one that you think other people will be happiest if you do, but actually the one that you want, set up that time right now. Figure out, when are you going to take that day, 2 days, 3 days out of your quarter to say, where am I going? Or kind of the yearly personal vision quest, right? Your own, how am I doing towards being on track. If that's something that you'd like to work with me on, I do have 2 more spaces for that in the spring. So DM me if you want to chat about it. Thanks for listening, and take that time. Take that time for yourself, because your life is worth it. Your goals are worth it. And the impact that you want to have is worth just those couple of days of really going deep with where you're at and how you're doing with it all. Thanks.